Legends of Lore. Everyone, welcome to the Legends of Lore broadcast. I'm Joe Manuola.
I'm Shirley Singleton.
And we are the Legends
of
Lore. Alright, and today we'll be reviewing Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 7, Dominion.
Yeah, so we kind of start out with the three blind mice.
Always a haunting melody.
Yeah, being played over, and the shows the Titan and the Chintaka scrapyards.
Right. And old Tuvok is in this episode.
Yeah.
Tuvok himself.
That's right, Tim Russ.
Yeah, gotta love some Tim Russ.
Yeah, good guy.
Oh yeah, and he also looks more distinguished, slightly older.
Yeah, and I think they made his ears slightly, they stick out more.
Yeah, very great seeing him. And we got another Admiral Janeway mention.
Yes. We should be keeping like an Admiral Janeway bingo or something.
Janeway watch.
Yeah, Janeway watch.
Yeah, we got it. I'd love to see her. I mean, we're getting towards the end of the season, so hopefully she'll pop her head up.
Yeah, I think something wow is gonna have to happen over the next one's the penultimate. Well, I mean we got three more, so something's got to pop off soon. Yeah,
something's got to give. So we have Frontier Day mentioned again. The big scheme with on Frontier Day, a potential attack, with just hours away, and the entire fleet gathered in the Sol system. The stakes are very, very high.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a super stupid plan, and it's like the changelings must be everywhere for that to have gotten through.
And speaking of the changelings being everywhere, there's some question: is this the Tuvok we all know and love, or is this an imposter?
That's right, but 7 of 9 to get down to that.
Yep, she has a series of questions, and ultimately leading to the mind meld stabilization. And, turns out that this may not be the Tuvok we all know and love, indeed.
No, because this changeling, he smiles at her and is like, oh, you got me.
Oh, yeah, he knows he's been got. And this just seems like the problems at Starfleet are a lot deeper than anyone could have ever expected.
Yeah, it sounds like they're everywhere. And
conveniently or inconveniently, as it may have it, Raffi and Worf, after just being a big reunion on a previous episode, now they're off Titan, monitoring security at Exoport.
Yeah, the Exoport. I've never heard of the Exoport before.
Me neither.
It kind of reminds me of the Exocomp, which was that whole what was that Exocomp's
like the little robot?
Yeah, the little robot. Yeah, what was his name? From
Lower Decks?
From Lower Decks, yeah. Peanut Hamper. Yeah,
Peanut Hamper. Yeah, that's it.
That's what it kind of reminds me of.
All right, so we also learned that it looks like old Picard's aromatic syndrome may be in question.
Yeah, that's, something interesting to throw in there.
And, the team on the Titan learned that, or surmised that they have stolen Picard's body. And they want Jack Crusher. So, why would they want this? To make the perfect duplicate of Picard.
Yeah, that's one theory.
Yep. And speaking of all the shenanigans, we see a little bit of Vadic on the Shrike and her communicating with her handlers using her favorite method of communication, the old goo hand.
Right. Her handlers, bunch.
The old goo hand communication. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't feel like we get a lot of, tender bits out of that interaction. It just seems like kind of a throwaway thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so kind of, I don't know, it's something weird about the whole hand thing. I mean,
you don't like it?
No, I don't. It's like...
It's original.
It is. It is original, but, I mean, I guess the writers, they did their jobs, I guess.
Yeah, that they did. All right, and back on the Titan, we have Jack flirting with Sydney.
Right. Hitting on her, listening in on her thoughts.
Right, and she doesn't think to ask, so, why do your eyes glow red?
Right. She misses that part. She was like, I think we should do something a little bit more, like, touch my hand. And then she's like, well, why is he doing that? But it's like, well, I mean, you don't notice the red eyes.
Right. Little things like that. The details in life.
Right, the devil's in the details. Old Jack.
Yep. The lovable rascal.
Yep.
Mr. Jack Picard Crusher. All right, so good old Picard, he comes up with a perfect plan to get Vadic.
Yeah.
Because the Shrike is closing in and they're about ready to board the Titan. But this may just be the opportunity Picard and company have been looking for.
Yeah, the Picard trying to trick Vadic into coming on board, and then, throwing out one of his Picard plans, because that's what he does.
He does. He's known for his plans.
That's right.
And this plan seemingly succeeds. After the boarding company comes to ransack the ship, they are captured in force fields.
Right.
Which I always thought was a very, great thing in terms of defending the inside of a Starship force fields. Wherever you are, just bam, force field.
Yeah.
But as we'll see soon, that it isn't always that simple. Not when you let a renegade android on board.
No, Laura's not having all that.
But really, before that becomes a big factor, we get a very interesting scene where they've captured Vadic. She's held in a containment field in sickbay, and Beverly gets to play Beverly Bad Cop.
Yes, and I think it's totally believable. I mean, because I think that Beverly would dust her. Yeah,
she definitely has a chip on her shoulder. Yeah. I mean, Vadic's been hunting them like dogs this entire time.
Right, she's over it.
And but we have Picard come in, and Picard was supposed to be playing the good cop, and this kind of prompts Vadic to go on a self-righteous, basically a diatribe.
Right, because she's bored of their bullshit.
Yeah, and really she confronts them about all the bad things Starfleet had to do in the Dominion War, about how she herself was tortured by Starfleet operatives, and she says something very salacious to Beverly. She says, "Jack's not for you."
Yeah. When she goes in, when she's talking about how, she was tortured, her and the other changelings were tortured, and she says that, they were just, pretty much out the gates of war, and, Starfleet went straight for genocide, which is true.
Yeah, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. But, I mean, in Deep Space Nine, they did a great job of really showing the Dominion as an unstoppable force, and the plight of Starfleet to be very serious.
Yeah, all of that is true. I mean, it just depends on how who's framing it.
Right, definitely, and that's the truth of any war, real or fictional. History is just his story.
Right, and she says that, they say, Starfleet gave you the cure. And he's like, oh no, one of our own stole it. But that's really not true either, because it was Bashir that stole the cure and gave it to Odo, and then Odo gave it to the changeling. So, I guess they, revised that in the changeling histories.
Right, yeah, it's always some revisionism, right? No matter what race you're dealing with.
Yep.
And another interesting little tidbit that it turns out that Vadic took the face of her torturer.
Yeah,
in terms of not. Yeah, not necessarily in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre sense of ripping it off and wearing it, but definitely in the sense of, she shapeshifted after killing her torturer. She shapeshifted in her as almost, I guess, like a trophy.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it seems, I don't know. It's
a little macabre.
Yeah. I mean, because you look at that face every day and you remember the tortures put upon you. It's kind of, it's really creepy.
And, and so... being the, visionaries that they are, Picard, Crusher, they're looking at each other. They're like, hey, she's too slippery to be held. She's going to find a way out sooner or later. And they, for a second, seriously debate on the virtues of just summarily executing her on the scene.
Yeah.
Are you and I so fundamentally changed?
I mean, it looked like they agreed to do it.
Yeah, they were about ready to have it. And they probably would have if it wasn't for the shenanigans of one very precocious android. Or several very precocious androids in the body of one precocious android.
Right. I think... so what do you think about, Beverly and Jean-Luc getting ready to dust this person. I mean, I've heard some people say that they think that it's out of character, but I mean, from the character development that I saw, I think it's in line.
Yeah, I think it's in line with the recent character development. If this would have happened in the original Next Generation, absolutely it would be out of character. But they even say, and I think that it is very important that they had that line of dialogue, are we so fundamentally changed?
Right.
And I think the answer is yes. They are very fundamentally changed, over the decades and over their recent, experiences. Especially Beverly. I mean, Beverly's been hunted like a dog, and her family's been hunted like a dog by this changeling. And I mean, we've already seen that Beverly doesn't have any compunctions about, taking some lives when she has to.
Yeah, Beverly don't play.
Badass Beverly.
Yep.
So, as they're really seriously thinking about pulling the trigger, both metaphorically and literally, that very, very precocious, that very mischievous android Lore shows his ugly head. And as much as they love Data, was it really such a great idea letting Lore onto the ship?
Right. I mean, I wouldn't have been... I mean, and to leave him, hooked up?
Yeah, that's the other weird thing. Like, why'd they have to hook him up to the entire fucking, ship?
Yeah, they couldn't have, air-gapped him to something,
just had, a little box, or, a little, some kind of desktop or laptop. Right. They could have just plugged him just straight into the ship with that glowing wire. I feel like, I don't know if that was lazy writing, or what. It just seems irresponsible. We know one of the most dangerous synthetic beings in history is partitioned in this body. Let's just plug them up to the ship.
Yeah.
Let the chips fall where they may.
Right.
And the chips definitely fall because during the boarding party, the changelings managed to... Some of the changelings were captured, but Sydney and Jack were stuck in a force field in between two other force fields, both containing, enemy changelings.
Right. And then Lore... disabled the transporters. And
disabled the force fields separating Jack and Sydney from the changelings.
Right.
So they had to be a giant melee. And of course, Vadic, he drops, once Lore takes over, drops the force field around Vadic, she squirms away goo form.
Yeah, I don't understand how she was able to get away. I mean, because, since we just talked about both Picard and Beverly were ready to axe her, so they had the phasers ready when the things dropped.
Yeah, you think they could have just phased her
really
well.
Right. It is what it is.
Yeah, well, this is where it's some of the holes in the writing are starting to rear its ugly head. Right. So we have a big battle scene with Jack and Sydney versus the changelings, but I believe there's still a force field separating Jack and Sydney, so he can't physically help her. She can't physically help him.
Right.
But Jack finds a way.
Right.
While Data's Geordi's pleading with Data / Lore, please stop this, but Jack, he finds his own way to help, despite the fact that they're being separated by a force field.
Yeah, I mean, she finally sees the red eyes.
Right.
And then her eyes turn red.
Right.
And then, some, bunch of fighting and butt kicking takes over. In there's a in the fandom, they're calling them Le Crusher.
Their couple name?
Yeah, their ship
that
is
is
Le
so
Crusher.
funny.
Yeah.
That is so funny. So my question is, okay, so Jack shot a changeling and vaporized him. Sydney shot a changeling and just poked some holes into him. How come? Maybe they had their phasers on different settings or something?
Yeah, or maybe some changelings are maybe harder to kill than others. Because
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because maybe Vadic's super hard to kill.
Right.
And then the one that Sydney was fighting was Vadic's right-hand man, I guess...
Right,
whatever.
Right, goo man.
Yeah, right. And
goo.
so he had been maybe tortured a little less than Vadic, so he was harder to kill.
Right. And the other one was just a noob.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Very good logical breakdown. So we see Jack get into Sydney's head, And now she's finally understanding that there's something a little different. He's not like the other boys.
No, he is not like the other boys.
But, despite all the success that they have taken out the changelings with Jack and Sydney, that is, there's still Vatic, there's still a whole bunch of other changelings, and they go and they storm the bridge, and they beat up Shaw in the process.
Yeah, and Shaw's like, blow the
turbo lift.
Yeah, blow the turbo lift, But 7 to 9 wasn't doing that.
Nope, she kept the faith.
Yeah.
But didn't seem to do a lot of good because Vatic did storm the bridge and capture it.
Yeah, and then, that's where we ended the episode of, Vatic and Large in charge on the bridge.
Yep. Making an announcement to her new ship that she's the boss lady.
Yeah.
So, what'd you think about this episode, Shirley?
I thought it was okay. I mean, I think that, I'm really looking forward to figuring out, like, who Jack is, because she says that she knows who Jack is, so, hopefully in the next episode we'll find out who Jack is.
Fingers crossed. I liked the episode, but I do feel like it might have been one of the weaker of the episodes. I mean, it started out with a lot of promise, and there's a lot of parts that I did like. I wasn't super buying into the logic behind, like, okay, so why are you gonna plug Lore into the whole? How's he getting a hold of the ship?
Right.
Like, you've been through this before. He's taken over ships in the past. Like, set up some safeguards. Yes, we're super happy that our best friend Data's back, but you also have basically a ticking time bomb that's strapped to Data in the form of Lore, the malicious, murderous, homicidal machine.
Yeah, it seems a bit irresponsible.
Yeah, so that I didn't buy into, and just like the fact and how easy Vatic stormed the bridge after they escaped, just feel like Starship would have some other precautions. I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more of a drawn out siege, something. Just it seemed a little too easy.
Yeah, and like when Vatic was in sickbay, still in the force field. And when Beverly and Jean-Luc were talking, it's just like she seems so calm, like, she's got something else planned, and it's like, well, really she didn't, but, we didn't see any communication between her and Lore. I mean, she just took advantage of the opportunity that Lore presented.
Right, well, what would she have done otherwise?
Right, exactly.
She would have died,
Right.
So it doesn't really gel with, like, oh, she's the schemer, she has something up her sleeve.
Right.
So that's a good point. There was a lot of things about this episode that didn't gel. Perhaps they're just setting up, more of the next episode or the future episodes. So we'll just have to wait and see. I thought it was very convenient that, Worf and Ruffy, they're off doing blah, 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 an extra port, so they just happened to miss the big battle. So, but I mean, it's episodes like this that remind you this is a TV show. And I mean, all in all, I still feel like season 3, the quality is surpassed season 1 and 2 by leaps and bounds. Can't always be perfect.
True, most definitely.
Well, I mean, I think I'd give overall the episode a positive review, and still I'm very much looking forward to the final 3 episodes.
Yeah, me too.
So the next episode's going to be a big one, we hear.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. It sounds exciting. And, I'm just ready to learn more about this Jack mystery box.
Yes. It's time for us to close out another great episode of Legends of Lore. Definitely like, follow, and just subscribe. And we'll catch you next time for episode number 8 in season 3 of Star Trek Picard.
That's right. Have a good one.
All
Peace.
right, bye.